Long before modern hospitals rose beneath fluorescent light, long before the polished steel of surgical instruments reflected the anxious faces of patients, there was only earth, wind, water, and the quiet intelligence of nature. In the deep hush of ancient forests, beneath canopies where golden sunlight filtered through layers of leaves, the first medicines were not discovered in laboratories but felt in the gentle rhythm of survival. Imagine a slow cinematic opening shot, dawn mist rolling over a vast green valley, dew resting on wild herbs, and somewhere in that silence, a human hand brushing softly against a leaf for the very first time. The story of natural medicine does not begin with a prescription, it begins with curiosity. Early humans, moving carefully through landscapes both beautiful and dangerous, learned to observe the behavior of animals. They noticed how wounded deer sought out certain plants, how bears emerging from hibernation chewed bitter roots, how birds selected specific berries while ignoring others. The earth itself seemed to whisper quiet instructions. As the sun rises slowly in our imagined scene, we see ancient communities gathered near rivers, their movements calm and deliberate. A mother crushes fragrant leaves between smooth stones, mixing them with cool water drawn from a nearby stream. Steam rises gently as the mixture warms over a small fire. There is no rush, no urgency, only the slow trust that nature provides what is needed. Science today calls this ethnobotany, the study of how cultures use plants for healing, but thousands of years ago it was simply life. The first healers were not separated from their communities. They were listeners, watchers of patterns, guardians of memory. Knowledge was passed down not through textbooks, but through storytelling beneath star-filled skies. If we drift across continents in this sleepy documentary journey, we find that natural medicine emerged everywhere humans settled. In ancient China, healers began documenting the properties of roots and bark in texts that would eventually influence practices such as traditional Chinese medicine, describing how balance within the body mirrors balance within nature. In the warm river valleys of India, early scholars composed what would become Ayurveda, a system that viewed health as harmony between body, mind, and spirit. Meanwhile, along the Nile, Egyptian healers recorded plant remedies on papyrus scrolls, blending spiritual belief with careful observation. Yet what is most remarkable is not that these traditions developed. It is that they developed independently across vast distances, arriving at similar conclusions, that plants hold power, that the body has innate wisdom, and that healing often begins gently. Picture a cinematic transition now to a desert at twilight, where cool blue shadows stretch across sand dunes. A healer kneels beside a small flowering plant surviving against all odds. Even here, in harsh conditions, medicine grows quietly. Modern science, with its microscopes and molecular analysis, has since confirmed that many of these ancient remedies contain active compounds. The bark of willow trees, once brewed into soothing teas, contains salicin, a precursor to aspirin. The rosy periwinkle plant led to important chemotherapy drugs. Garlic, long praised in folk medicine, shows antimicrobial properties. But as we let the camera move slowly through a moonlit herb garden, the deeper truth emerges. Natural medicine is not merely about chemicals. It is about relationship. The relationship between human beings and their environment. The relationship between observation and understanding. There is something inherently calming about this perspective. In a world that often feels mechanical and hurried, natural medicine reminds us that healing can be slow and rhythmic. Imagine rain falling gently onto a forest floor, nourishing roots unseen beneath the soil. Healing often happens the same way, quietly beneath the surface long before visible change appears. This patience is woven into traditions across the globe. Indigenous communities in the Americas used echinacea to support immunity, while European monasteries cultivated herb gardens filled with chamomile and sage, preserving botanical knowledge through turbulent centuries. As the night deepens in our cinematic vision, we see constellations emerging overhead. Ancient healers navigated not only landscapes but also seasons. They understood that certain plants were strongest at specific times of year, that moon cycles influence tides and perhaps even the body's subtle rhythms. Whether or not every belief aligns with modern scientific frameworks, the overarching principle remains profound. Humans are part of nature, not separate from it. In this first quiet chapter of our journey, we are not rushing toward conclusions. Instead, we are settling into the awareness that natural medicine began as a whisper carried by wind through tall grasses, by rivers flowing over smooth stones, by elders sharing stories beside flickering fires. It began with observation, evolved through experience, and continues today in both traditional practices and modern research laboratories. As the final scene of this section unfolds, imagine a slow aerial shot rising above a vast landscape at sunrise. Forests stretch endlessly, rivers glisten, mountains breathe mist into the morning air. Somewhere within that living tapestry, plants continue to grow silently, unaware of the centuries of healing they have offered. The world feels softer now, slower. And as viewers sink deeper into comfort, a gentle curiosity forms. If this is only the beginning of nature's medicine story, what other quiet secrets remain hidden among roots, leaves, and ancient traditions waiting to be rediscovered? As the soft glow of morning stretches across an untouched rainforest, the camera drifts slowly between towering trunks wrapped in moss, past vines suspended like ancient curtains, and toward a single leaf trembling gently in the humid air. At first glance, the forest appears still, almost sleepy, but beneath that calm surface lies a world of quiet chemical conversations. Every plant here is not merely growing, it is manufacturing. Not in the hurried way of human factories with smoke and noise, but in silence, using sunlight as fuel and time as its patient partner. What we call natural medicine often begins as a plant's own survival strategy. Long before humans brewed teas or crushed herbs into salves, plants were crafting intricate molecules to defend themselves, attract allies, and adapt to changing conditions. Imagine zooming in closer, closer still, until the surface of a leaf becomes an entire landscape. Tiny pores open and close with the rhythm of breath. Sunlight touches chlorophyll, initiating photosynthesis, the foundational process that converts light into life-sustaining energy. But alongside sugars and oxygen, plants produce secondary compounds, alkaloids, flavonoids, terpenes, complex chemicals that are not essential for basic survival, yet profoundly important for protection. These compounds can taste bitter to deter grazing animals, smell sweet to attract pollinators, or act as subtle toxins against insects and microbes. The forest is not passive, it is quietly strategic. As mist rolls between the trees, consider how many of these plant chemicals later became the foundation for modern pharmacology. Morphine was isolated from the opium poppy. Quinine, once the only reliable treatment for malaria, came from the bark of the cinchona tree. The compounds that give mint its cooling sensation and chili peppers their heat evolved as ecological tools, yet interact with human nerve receptors in fascinating ways. The deeper we look, the clearer it becomes that plants are master chemists, refining their formulas over millions of years through evolution. Each molecule is the result of countless environmental experiments, shaped by climate, soil, predators, and symbiotic relationships. Now the scene shifts gently to a sunlit meadow where wildflowers sway in slow motion. Bees drift lazily from bloom to bloom. The bright colors of petals are not decoration but communication. Pigments like anthocyanins and carotenoids serve to attract pollinators, yet when consumed by humans, they function as antioxidants, helping neutralize unstable molecules in our bodies. What began as a strategy to ensure reproduction becomes, in another context, a supportive nutrient. This dual purpose reflects a deeper truth. Natural medicine often arises from ecological interactions rather than deliberate design for human use. In shaded undergrowth, certain plants release aromatic oils when crushed. These essential oils, composed largely of terpenes, can repel insects or inhibit fungal growth. When humans inhale lavender or eucalyptus, we experience calming or clearing sensations, but to the plant, these chemicals are shields. The forest pharmacy is vast, and its inventory shifts with altitude and latitude. In tropical climates, where biodiversity flourishes, chemical diversity also expands. Scientists estimate that only a fraction of plant species have been studied in detail, meaning countless compounds remain undiscovered, quietly circulating through roots and stems, waiting for curious minds to notice them. Picture now a slow transition to a laboratory bathed in soft golden evening light. A researcher examines plant extracts under gentle illumination, bridging ancient knowledge with modern analysis. Advanced instruments can identify molecular structures with precision, yet the original blueprint belongs to the plant itself. Even today, many pharmaceutical drugs are derived directly or indirectly from botanical sources. Aspirin's lineage traces back to willow bark. Certain cancer treatments originate from rainforest species. The forest does not advertise its cures, it simply grows. What makes this realization soothing is the sense of continuity. The molecules inside leaves are not separate from us. Humans share biochemical pathways with other living organisms, which is why plant compounds can influence our physiology at all. Alkaloids may bind to receptors in our nervous system. Flavonoids may modulate inflammation. These interactions are possible because life on Earth evolved together, intertwined through deep time. In a way, when we consume plant-based remedies, we are participating in an ancient biochemical dialogue. As twilight settles over the forest once more, fireflies begin to flicker like distant stars among the trees. Roots beneath the soil exchange nutrients with fungi in vast underground networks known as mycorrhizae, forming symbiotic partnerships that strengthen entire ecosystems. Even here, chemistry plays a role. Signals travel through root systems, warning neighboring plants of threats or stress. The idea that forests communicate chemically may feel poetic, but it is grounded in observable science. This interconnectedness reinforces the philosophy behind many traditional healing systems. Health is relational. The camera rises slowly above the canopy as night deepens. From this height, the forest appears like a breathing organism, inhaling mist and exhaling oxygen. Somewhere below, leaves continue synthesizing compounds in darkness, guided by genetic instructions written millions of years ago. There is no urgency, no noise, only steady creation. And perhaps that is one of the quiet lessons of natural medicine. Healing substances are not rushed into existence. They are cultivated over seasons, refined by sunlight, shaped by adversity. As viewers relax into this unfolding story, curiosity deepens. If plants have developed such complex chemical defenses and alliances, how did ancient humans learn which were safe, which were powerful, and which were dangerous? How did knowledge travel across generations without written language? The forest pharmacy is vast, but it does not label its shelves. In our next chapter, we will drift gently into the world of early healers and herbalists, exploring how intuition, observation, and memory transformed wild landscapes into living apothecaries, and how wisdom survived long before modern science began to measure it. As dawn spreads softly over a wide prehistoric plain, a thin ribbon of smoke rises from a small fire beside a riverbank. The world feels untouched, vast and quiet, with tall grasses swaying in silver waves beneath the early light. Somewhere in this ancient landscape, long before ink met parchment, the first healers are already at work. They do not wear white coats or carry polished instruments. Instead, they carry memory. They carry observation. They carry stories. Natural medicine, in its earliest form, lived not in books but in breath, in words spoken gently from elder to child, from healer to apprentice, under skies scattered with stars. Imagine the camera moving slowly toward a small gathering of early humans. A child sits beside an elder whose hands move with deliberate care, crushing dried leaves between smooth stones. The scent released into the air is earthy and bitter. Perhaps this plant eases stomach pain. Perhaps it reduces fever. The knowledge was not gained easily. It came from trial and error, from watching which berries birds avoided, from noticing which roots animals returned to when injured. In this quiet exchange between human and landscape, medicine begins as relationship rather than recipe. Across different continents, far apart yet connected by shared curiosity, early communities developed their own healing traditions. In Africa, healers learned the rhythms of savanna plants, understanding which barks soothed infections and which herbs calmed restless sleep. In the Americas, indigenous tribes observed the behavior of wildlife, carefully cataloging plants through oral tradition. In Asia, generations refined botanical practices that would eventually shape systems like traditional Chinese medicine, where balance between opposing forces became central to health. Meanwhile, on the Indian subcontinent, the foundations of Ayurveda emerged from centuries of spiritual and botanical study, blending observation with philosophy. But before these systems had names, there was intuition. Imagine a slow cinematic shift to a dense jungle at twilight. Rain falls softly onto broad leaves, creating a gentle rhythm. A healer kneels beside a plant glowing faintly in filtered light. She touches its stem, smells its crushed petals, tastes a fragment cautiously. Knowledge is gathered through the senses. Healing is not separated from daily life. It is woven into it. The same hands that gather food also gather remedies. The same fire that cooks meals warms medicinal brews. Oral tradition becomes the sacred vessel of preservation. Stories carry warnings about poisonous plants disguised as edible fruit. Songs encode the preparation methods for roots that must be boiled to remove toxins. Rituals ensure that harvesting is done with respect and timing, preventing overuse. In a world without written language, memory is sharpened by necessity. Elders repeat teachings until they are etched into communal consciousness. The act of remembering becomes an act of survival. As the scene transitions to a mountainous region dusted with snow, we see how geography shapes medicine. Alpine communities rely on hardy shrubs and resins. Coastal tribes turn to seaweeds and salt-rich plants. Desert dwellers learn to extract moisture and healing sap from resilient succulents. Each environment becomes a living pharmacy, but access depends on intimate knowledge of the land. The healer is often also a spiritual guide, bridging physical and metaphysical understanding. Illness is not always viewed as purely biological. It may reflect imbalance with nature or community. Whether or not modern frameworks agree with every belief, the holistic lens reveals something enduring. Health was understood as interconnected. In flickering firelight, faces glow amber as stories unfold. A young apprentice listens carefully to the tale of a great fever that once swept through the tribe, and how a bitter bark brewed for many days helped ease suffering. The story is repeated until it becomes communal memory. Through repetition, details are refined. Over generations, patterns emerge. Certain plants consistently produce results. Others are discarded. Slowly, knowledge stabilizes into tradition. Now imagine a gentle aerial view of multiple ancient civilizations developing simultaneously. Though oceans and deserts separate them, similar themes arise. Plants are dried and stored. Roots are ground into powders. Leaves are steeped into teas. The preparation methods grow more precise. Timing matters. Dosage matters. Observation deepens. In ancient Egypt, healers eventually record remedies on papyrus scrolls. In China, herbal knowledge is compiled into early medical texts. In India, teachings are organized into structured philosophies. The whisper of healing begins to take written form, yet its essence remains rooted in experience. What feels especially calming about this chapter of human history is the patience it required. There were no shortcuts, no rapid clinical trials. Learning unfolded across centuries. Mistakes were made. Wisdom matured slowly. In a world driven today by speed, this ancient rhythm feels almost meditative. The healer did not rush. The plants were gathered at specific seasons, under certain moons. Preparation required time, drying in shade, simmering over low flame, grinding with steady hands. Healing itself was expected to unfold gradually. As night settles once more over our cinematic landscape, stars shimmer above silent hills. The fire dims, and the elder's voice softens. Knowledge continues to travel from one generation to the next, carried not by paper but by people. There is something profoundly human about this image. A circle of listeners preserving survival through storytelling. Natural medicine, before it became an industry or academic discipline, was an inheritance of trust between humanity and the earth. And as viewers drift deeper into this soothing narrative, a new curiosity gently awakens. How did these early traditions evolve into organized systems of medicine? How did philosophy begin to shape the way illness was understood? In the next chapter, we will move slowly into the structured wisdom of ancient civilizations, where healing expanded beyond instinct into carefully balanced theories of energy, elements, and harmony, continuing our quiet journey through the timeless story of nature's medicine. As the first light of morning spills over the terraces of an ancient civilization, the camera glides slowly across sun-baked stone temples and intricate gardens. The air is still, almost reverent, carrying the faint scent of herbs growing in carefully tended plots. Here, the story of natural medicine takes a step beyond intuition and observation. It begins to embrace philosophy. Early healers did not simply treat symptoms, they sought balance. Across cultures separated by oceans and mountains, humans began to see patterns. The body mirrored the world, illness reflected disharmony, and the plants of the earth held keys to restoring equilibrium. In the lush river valleys of China, centuries before microscopes or chemical formulas existed, scholars observed cycles of nature, the seasons, the movement of the sun, the rhythms of water. They recognized that health depended on harmony between opposing forces, known as yin and yang. Imagine a cinematic shot of a serene garden at sunrise, mist curling over a pond where lotus flowers float tranquilly. In this quiet scene, early practitioners of traditional Chinese medicine taught that the body contains channels of energy, or qi, and that illness arises when this energy becomes blocked or imbalanced. Herbs, roots, and minerals were not merely substances. They were vehicles for restoring flow, gently nudging the body back to equilibrium. Each remedy was chosen with care, considering not only the ailment but the patient's temperament, environment, and season. Meanwhile, across the Indian subcontinent, practitioners of Ayurveda observed the body through a lens of elemental balance. Fire, water, air, earth, and ether were seen as vital forces that interacted within the human form. A careful balance among these elements was essential for physical and mental well-being. Picture a slow, cinematic pan over terraced hills where medicinal plants grow in neat rows, dew sparkling on their leaves. Preparations involved precise measurements and timing, infusions, powders, and oils designed not merely to alleviate symptoms but to harmonize the individual with the larger rhythms of life. The healer's role was deeply relational, a subtle observer of body, mind, and spirit, attuned to the slightest shifts in energy and mood. In the Nile Valley, Egyptian medicine combined observation with ritual. Papyrus scrolls, illuminated with drawings of plants, bones, and symbolic figures, recorded remedies for everything from infections to digestive issues. Healing was a blend of the tangible and intangible aromatic oils applied to wounds, herbal poultices pressed gently onto the skin, and prayers whispered to encourage restoration. A cinematic sequence shows hands delicately applying pressed herbs while incense curls upward, the flickering light casting soft shadows. Here, medicine was inseparable from culture and spirituality. To heal the body was to honor the forces of the universe. Even in the harsh climates of Mesopotamia and the deserts of Arabia, humans cultivated plants and created remedies tuned to their environment. Slow-motion shots capture seeds being sown with care, roots gently dug from dry earth, leaves dried in shaded spaces to preserve potency. In each region, observation, philosophy, and experimentation intertwined. Patterns emerged. Certain plants eased digestion, others soothed fever, some offered calm to restless minds. Remedies were rarely singular. They were often blended, creating complex compositions that worked holistically, supporting multiple aspects of health simultaneously. One of the quiet marvels of these ancient systems is their recognition of individual differences. In India, a practitioner might choose different herbs for two people with the same illness, based on their elemental constitution. In China, two patients with identical symptoms might receive contrasting treatments, reflecting differences in their qi or environmental influences. Across continents, the principle is similar. Healing is not one size fits all. It is a gentle dialogue, a negotiation between the body, the environment, and the remedies provided by nature. As we drift through a cinematic montage of ancient libraries, gardens, and temples, it becomes clear that these traditions are not static. They are dynamic, growing with observation and reflection. Healers traveled, exchanged knowledge, and refined practices over generations. They noticed subtle patterns, which plants worked best when harvested at sunrise, which leaves retained potency in shade, how drying, roasting, or boiling altered effects. Each adjustment represents a careful experiment conducted with patience and reverence. Even today, these ancient philosophies influence modern natural medicine. Herbal teas, essential oils, and holistic approaches to wellness eco-principles first observed thousands of years ago. What is striking is the emphasis on harmony over aggression. Healing is seen as a return to balance, a gentle guidance rather than a forceful intervention. Cinematic visuals of misty mountains, flowing rivers, and sunlight filtering through dense foliage remind us that these early healers were attuned not only to the human body but to the pulse of the natural world itself. As night falls on our scene, shadows lengthen across temple walls and garden paths. The moonlight catches dew on delicate herbs, and the quiet air seems to hold a collective breath. Ancient wisdom teaches us that healing is a conversation with nature, a patient and attentive practice that honors both body and environment. As viewers sink into this calming rhythm, curiosity deepens. How did these early systems influence the way humans later understood chemistry, pharmacology, and the very science of medicine? In the next section, we will explore how these insights began to bridge the gap between tradition and early scientific experimentation, gently unfolding the journey of natural medicine into recorded science. As the first rays of sunlight warm a quiet European meadow, the camera glides over rolling hills dotted with wildflowers and herbs swaying in the morning breeze. Here, the story of natural medicine begins to shift. Observation and philosophy, passed down through centuries, are slowly complemented by experimentation. Humans, having listened to the whispers of the earth for millennia, begin to test, measure, and refine. In these gentle moments of discovery, healing becomes both art and emerging science, a quiet dance between curiosity and patience. Imagine a slow cinematic pan across a small monastic garden in medieval Europe. Monks carefully tend plots of chamomile, sage, and valerian, noting their effects on digestion, sleep, and mood. They grind leaves into powders, steep roots into calming teas, and record observations in fading manuscripts. Each entry is a meditation. The way a plant grows, the season it is harvested, the color of its flowers, even the scent it releases when crushed, all are pieces of knowledge waiting to be understood. Through trial, error, and careful attention, the lines between intuition and empirical evidence begin to blur. In parallel, Arabic scholars in the golden age of medicine meticulously catalog plants, roots, and minerals, translating knowledge from Greek, Indian, and Persian sources. Libraries hum with the quiet energy of learning. Parchment pages reveal detailed instructions for preparing syrups, ointments, and infusions. A cinematic shot moves slowly over shelves stacked with jars of dried herbs, each labeled in flowing script, the soft candlelight casting a warm, sleepy glow. Here, logic and observation converge. The hum of understanding grows louder as empirical testing begins to take root alongside tradition. Across the continents, herbalists and physicians conduct subtle experiments. In some cases, a healer observes the timing of a remedy. When harvested at dawn, a leaf may retain more active compounds. When boiled gently, its effectiveness increases. In other cases, combinations of herbs are tested, noting how one root may enhance the properties of another. The approach is slow, meticulous, and immersive, much like the rhythmic unfolding of nature itself. There is no rush, just quiet patience and attentive observation. Picture a serene forest glade where a scholar kneels beside a flowing stream, carefully noting the effects of crushed willow bark on mild aches in willing volunteers. The bark contains salicin, a compound that centuries later will inspire modern aspirin. Yet here, there is no urgency, no modern laboratory. Only careful attention, gentle measurement, and trust in nature's subtle processes. This is experimentation as a mindful dialogue, where humans listen to the reactions of the body and the potency of the plant. In Asia, early practitioners of traditional Chinese medicine begin correlating observations with written records. Herbs are classified according to taste, temperature, and energetic properties, creating a system where careful categorization guides treatment. In India, Ayurvedic texts describe thousands of plants and their effects, noting both physical and mental impacts. The cinematic scene unfolds in a softly lit study, where hands turn the fragile pages of centuries-old texts, the ink absorbing the quiet glow of oil lamps. Here, theory begins to meet practice, and science starts its gentle emergence from tradition. These early experiments are not controlled in the modern sense, but they are rigorous in their own way. Observers track patterns over seasons, noting consistent outcomes across patients, climates, and plant preparations. Slowly, this cumulative knowledge forms the foundation of pharmacology even before chemical structures are understood. What feels soothing in this story is the patience, the centuries-long conversation between humans and plants, a slow unfolding that respects time, nature, and observation. A cinematic transition now drifts over a sprawling medieval marketplace. Merchants display dried herbs, roots, and spices. Buyers, often healers themselves, examine textures, aromas, and colors, seeking the right plant for a remedy. Across distances, knowledge travels through trade and storytelling. The quiet rhythm of commerce becomes another thread in the web of experimentation. Each interaction is a subtle experiment, comparing results, observing reactions, learning through gentle trial. By the late Renaissance, scholars begin combining empirical observation with philosophical reasoning. They isolate plant extracts, test them for specific effects, and document results systematically. While the methods are primitive compared to modern laboratories, the underlying principle remains the same: careful attention, patient observation, and curiosity guide discovery. A cinematic slow-motion shot captures a hand sprinkling powdered herbs into a simmering pot, steam curling upward, highlighting the meticulous care of early experimentation. As night descends over candlelit libraries and quiet gardens, the camera rises to capture a broader landscape. Europe, the Middle East, and Asia, each region contributing its quiet discoveries to the growing body of natural medicine. The air feels still and calm, filled with centuries of attentive observation. Healing, once purely intuitive, now begins its journey towards systematic understanding, yet it retains the softness and relational essence of its origins. As viewers sink deeper into this calming narrative, curiosity awakens once more. How did these early experiments evolve into modern scientific methods? How did the patient, the plant, and the observer eventually converge into reproducible, measurable medicine? In the next chapter, we will drift slowly into the chemical secrets of plants themselves, exploring how their molecules interact with the human body, and how science gradually decodes the ancient whispers of healing hidden in leaves, roots, and blossoms. As dawn breaks over a quiet rainforest, sunlight filters softly through the thick canopy, illuminating tiny droplets of dew on broad, green leaves. The camera drifts slowly along moss-covered trunks, capturing the subtle sparkle of life at a microscopic scale. Beneath this calm, the forest is alive with activity invisible to the naked eye. Plants, in their patient way, are crafting chemical compounds, nature's own medicine. This is the chapter where the quiet art of healing begins to meet the language of molecules, where intuition and observation converge with the hidden chemistry of life itself. Imagine zooming closer to a single leaf. Within its cells, sunlight is converted into energy through photosynthesis, producing not just sugar but a complex network of secondary compounds. These are alkaloids, flavonoids, terpenes, and phenols, each a tiny guardian, a subtle agent of survival. For the plant, they may deter insects, inhibit microbes, or attract pollinators. For humans, many of these compounds have therapeutic effects. Morphine, derived from the opium poppy, soothes pain. Quinine from the cinchona tree fights malaria. Even the aromatic oils of lavender or eucalyptus can calm the nervous system or clear the airways. Every molecule tells a story of millions of years of evolution, patience, and quiet adaptation. Now the camera drifts gently to a sun-dappled meadow. Wildflowers sway in slow rhythm as bees hover from bloom to bloom. Their tiny wings glimmer in soft light. Pigments in petals, such as carotenoids and anthocyanins, serve a biological purpose, to attract pollinators. Yet these same pigments act as antioxidants for humans, helping neutralize free radicals. Nature's chemical design is both purposeful and generous, offering protection to itself while gifting healing properties to those who notice. The rhythm of the forest feels deliberate, unhurried, and deeply comforting. In shaded undergrowth, essential oils rise from crushed leaves in subtle vapor trails. Terpenes, the building blocks of many plant fragrances, serve as chemical shields for the plants but also influence human physiology. Inhaling chamomile can reduce stress. Peppermint awakens the senses. Cinnamon warms the body. The quiet laboratory of the forest unfolds around us, and the chemistry feels poetic. Every molecule is a bridge between life forms, an invitation to observe, learn, and heal. As the camera drifts over ancient herb gardens in Asia and Europe, the lineage of discovery becomes clear. Long before chemical analysis, healers observed the effects of these compounds through patient trial, recording outcomes across generations. Leaves steeped in boiling water, roots ground into powders, flowers pressed into oils, all represent centuries of accumulated empirical knowledge. These preparations, once guided by intuition, now reveal molecular explanations. The bitterness that once signaled caution to early humans is now understood as alkaloids acting on nerves, soothing or stimulating as needed. In a quiet montage, the scene moves to a modern laboratory bathed in soft light. Tiny droplets form on glass slides, delicate instruments measure compounds invisible to the eye, and gentle hums of machinery echo softly. Yet the essence is the same: careful attention to detail, patient observation, and respect for natural processes. Every compound studied was first nurtured by the slow rhythms of the plant world, refined over millennia to protect, heal, and survive. The forest, mountains, deserts, and river valleys remain the ultimate classrooms. Across continents, chemical diversity reflects ecological adaptation. Tropical forests teem with potent molecules, temperate regions yield subtle, calming compounds, and alpine plants concentrate resilience in their roots and leaves. Cinematic visuals glide over landscapes, showing plants growing in their native habitats, untouched by human interference, quietly producing the medicine that generations will one day recognize. What is calming about this chapter is the continuity. The molecules that soothe pain, calm nerves, or fight infection are part of a continuum that stretches from ancient observation to modern science. When humans consume herbal remedies, they are participating in a dialogue that began long before written records. Each sip of tea, each inhalation of essential oils, becomes a connection to evolutionary patience and chemical intelligence. As night falls over misty valleys and forests, the camera rises to a panoramic view of moonlit treetops. Shadows lengthen, the air is still, and dew glistens softly on every surface. The forest seems to breathe, and in that gentle rhythm, viewers are reminded that healing is slow, quiet, and relational. The molecules within plants continue their work whether we notice them or not, a silent promise of resilience and restoration. As curiosity deepens, the mind wonders, how do these natural compounds interact with the human body so effectively? What hidden pathways allow plants and humans to communicate chemically across time and species? In the next chapter, we will drift slowly into the world of the human body itself, exploring how our physiology responds to natural remedies and how science gradually uncovers the subtle dialogue between plant chemistry and human wellness. As dawn spreads gently across a quiet forest glade, the camera moves slowly over soft moss and dew-kissed leaves. Somewhere in this calm, the human body awakens to the subtle signals of nature. Healing is not just external, it is a conversation between plant chemistry and our own physiology. Every sip of herbal tea, every inhalation of fragrant oils, every touch of a crushed leaf on the skin engages pathways evolved over millions of years. The story of natural medicine is, at its core, a story of connection. How the molecules produced by plants quietly guide, support, and sometimes correct the human body. Imagine a cinematic close-up of a chamomile flower, its soft petals bathed in morning light. Within these petals are flavonoids and volatile oils, compounds that interact with the nervous system to promote relaxation. When steeped in hot water, these molecules are released, inhaled, and ingested, gently modulating receptors in the brain. The effect is subtle, a lowering of stress, a calming of restless thoughts, but profoundly human. Nature does not rush, it does not demand. Its healing is a gentle invitation, a whisper rather than a command. In another scene, peppermint leaves release menthol as they are crushed. This compound stimulates cold receptors in the skin and mucous membranes, creating a sensation of freshness and relief. Imagine a slow-motion visual of vapor rising from a steaming cup of peppermint tea, diffusing into soft, golden sunlight. The body responds automatically, yet with nuance. Blood vessels relax, muscles ease, and the senses awaken to subtle comfort. Each molecule carries both a purpose for the plant and a gift for the human. The camera drifts next to a quiet riverbank, where willow trees arch gracefully over water. Ancient humans recognized that chewing bark or steeping it in water eased aches and reduced fever. Modern science now understands that salicin from willow bark is metabolized into salicylic acid, interacting with pathways that modulate inflammation and pain. It is as if the tree has been speaking to our biochemistry for centuries, its language embedded in molecular design, its story accessible to patient observation. Across deserts and mountains, in valleys and alpine meadows, plants continue this quiet dialogue. Aloe vera gel, brushed against a burn, releases polysaccharides and enzymes that soothe tissue, reduce inflammation, and support repair. Lavender, crushed between fingertips, releases linalool, calming the nervous system and promoting restful sleep. The cinematic camera captures these moments in soft, slow motion, droplets of gel reflecting sunlight, petals trembling in gentle wind, inviting viewers to notice the delicate dance between plant and body. Human physiology is receptive not only to external applications but also to dietary intake. Antioxidants from berries reduce oxidative stress, compounds in turmeric modulate inflammatory pathways, and bitter greens stimulate digestion and liver function. The body, evolved alongside the flora of the earth, recognizes these molecules. It is a conversation of mutual adaptation, plants producing protective chemicals over millennia, humans evolving receptors and metabolic pathways capable of receiving them. The story grows even more profound when we consider essential oils. Eucalyptus vapors clear the respiratory tract, rosemary stimulates memory and alertness, while sandalwood oil calms the mind. As the camera glides slowly above a misty garden, sunlight catching droplets in the air, viewers feel the connection. Inhalation is more than sensation. The molecules bind to olfactory receptors, transmit signals to the limbic system, and subtly influence mood, memory, and emotional state. Healing is sensory, chemical, and deeply embodied. In the quiet of a sun-dappled forest, a human hand gently touches a leaf, inhaling its fragrance. A bee hovers nearby, feeding on nectar. The rhythm of life is interconnected. Humans, plants, and pollinators are part of a vast chemical conversation. Some compounds evolved for protection, some for attraction, yet they all interact with our bodies in ways we are only beginning to understand. As night falls, shadows stretch across forest floors, and the moonlight reveals silver outlines on leaves. The air is still, the forest breathing softly. Viewers are invited into a meditative state, recognizing that the act of healing is gradual, intimate, and reciprocal. Every molecule, every aromatic compound, every taste is a whisper of nature's wisdom. By the end of this chapter, curiosity grows deeper. If the body listens so attentively to plants, how did humans learn to harness these chemical conversations intentionally? How were remedies refined, combined, and preserved across generations? In the next section, we will drift into the world of herbal tradition, exploring how cultures shaped medicine through experience, ritual, and the quiet science of attentive practice, revealing the timeless partnership between humans and nature's pharmacy. As the first golden rays of morning stretch across a tranquil hillside, the camera glides slowly over cultivated herb gardens, dew still resting on soft green leaves. Here, healing is not only in the plants themselves but in the careful transmission of knowledge, wisdom passed from one generation to the next, cultivated like the herbs themselves. Ancient humans recognized that observation alone was not enough. Memory, storytelling, and ritual were essential for preserving the subtle art of natural medicine. The quiet rhythm of teaching, repetition, and patient listening became the backbone of herbal tradition. Imagine a cinematic scene of an elder seated beside a young apprentice beneath a tree, sunlight filtering softly through leaves. The elder crushes a few fragrant leaves in his hands, inhaling the aroma, feeling their texture, and explaining the plant's effect on the body. "This root calms fever," he says. "This leaf eases digestion." Every gesture is deliberate, every word measured. The child listens intently, learning not just the properties of the herbs but also the timing, the preparation, and the relationship with nature itself. Knowledge is embodied, experiential, and deeply relational. Across continents, similar traditions emerge, each shaped by local ecology. In Europe, monasteries cultivate gardens of sage, rosemary, and chamomile, recording observations in fading manuscripts. In Asia, carefully handwritten texts describe thousands of herbs, their tastes, temperatures, and energetic properties, linking them to body and mind. In the Americas, indigenous communities use songs, stories, and ceremonies to encode the proper use of plants, preserving critical information across generations without written language. The cinematic camera drifts over these landscapes, sun-drenched gardens, forest clearings, and river valleys, each scene emphasizing the slow, intentional rhythm of learning. Preparation is as important as knowledge. Roots must be dried in shade, leaves collected at precise times, flowers infused in gentle heat. Some remedies require boiling, others are pounded raw, some are combined in complex formulas. This careful attention ensures that the plant's full potency is preserved. Imagine a slow-motion shot of a healer sprinkling powdered herbs into simmering water, steam curling upward in golden sunlight, emphasizing patience and mindfulness in every step. Ritual and observation intertwine. In many cultures, the act of gathering is sacred. Plants are harvested with gratitude, timing is guided by season and moon, and care is taken not to overharvest. Every action respects the balance between humans and the natural world. The forest, the field, and the garden become living classrooms, teaching patience, attention, and humility. Healing is not a task to be rushed. It is a practice woven into life itself. Oral tradition ensures accuracy across generations. Songs encode preparation methods, stories embed warnings of toxicity, and repeated practice sharpens memory. The apprenticeship process immerses learners fully in the sensory world of plants, their touch, smell, taste, and sight. These methods may seem slow, yet they are remarkably effective. Knowledge is internalized deeply, becoming intuitive rather than just memorized. The camera lingers on hands carefully separating petals, leaves, and roots, showing that care is as much a part of medicine as chemistry. The diversity of herbal tradition is astounding. In tropical regions, medicinal plants thrive in abundance, each with unique chemical compounds. In deserts and mountains, survival depends on hardy species whose therapeutic properties are concentrated in small leaves or thick roots. Across this diversity, human ingenuity discovers patterns. Which plants are safe, which combinations enhance efficacy, which preparation methods retain potency. Over centuries, these discoveries solidify into enduring systems of knowledge. Even today, remnants of these traditions persist. Herbal remedies, teas, tinctures, and oils reflect centuries of careful observation, experimentation, and storytelling. When we sip a chamomile tea or inhale lavender oil, we participate in a lineage of learning that spans cultures and millennia. The camera slowly rises over misty hills at sunset, highlighting gardens and forests bathed in soft light, reinforcing the intimate connection between humans and the plants they have tended and learned from. The quiet beauty of this chapter is the emphasis on patience and relationality. Knowledge is not hoarded, it is shared. Healing is not rushed, it is observed. Humans and nature exist in dialogue, a rhythm of giving and receiving, listening and learning. As viewers relax into this narrative, curiosity deepens. How did these traditions influence modern pharmacology, chemistry, and the scientific study of plants? In the next chapter, we will drift into the journey of discovery that bridges ancestral wisdom and the rise of modern natural science, uncovering how centuries of herbal knowledge informed systematic study and experimentation. As soft morning light spreads over a quiet European meadow, the camera glides slowly across neatly arranged herb gardens, dew glistening on delicate leaves. Here, the story of natural medicine transitions from tradition to systematic study. Centuries of observation, oral storytelling, and careful practice begin to converge with a more analytical approach. Humans, inspired by the wisdom of their ancestors, start asking new questions. Which compounds are active? How do they interact with the body? What combinations enhance or diminish effect? This gentle curiosity sparks the earliest forms of scientific herbalism. Imagine a serene monastery in the 16th century. Sunlight filters through narrow windows, illuminating shelves lined with dried herbs, meticulously labeled in fading ink. Monks crush leaves between stones, infuse roots in water, and record their results with painstaking care. Observation is paired with measurement, noting not just which plants ease symptoms but how much, how often, and under what conditions. Each entry reflects a meditative attention, a quiet devotion to understanding the subtle mechanisms of nature's remedies. Across the Islamic world, scholars translate Greek, Persian, and Indian texts, studying the properties of hundreds of plants. In candlelit libraries, they refine preparation methods, compare effects, and correct previous misconceptions. Cinematic visuals drift over stacks of manuscripts, jars of powdered herbs, and soft steam rising from medicinal infusions, illustrating the delicate bridge between tradition and emerging analysis. Through such careful study, empirical practices begin to form, laying the foundation for what centuries later will become pharmacology. In parallel, European apothecaries start documenting plant remedies with increasing detail. Herbs are classified by taste, smell, and observed effect. Some compounds are isolated from mixtures, revealing patterns that were previously invisible. Slowly, the principles of experimentation emerge: control, repetition, and careful observation. Imagine a slow-motion sequence of powdered roots being sifted through fine sieves, liquids poured carefully into labeled vessels, and tiny droplets of plant extracts examined under soft lamplight. The act of preparation itself becomes a meditative practice, reinforcing attention to detail and precision. During this period, curiosity grows not only about efficacy but also safety. Ancient warnings of toxic plants gain scientific confirmation. Scholars begin to separate beneficial compounds from harmful ones, documenting dosage, preparation, and timing with increasing accuracy. Cinematic visuals capture this process, hands working gently over mortar and pestle, simmering infusions releasing soft plumes of steam, and herbs drying slowly in golden sunlight. Every action reflects patience and respect, a continuation of the relational wisdom passed down through generations. Meanwhile, the rise of botanical illustration enhances the study of herbs. Artists render leaves, flowers, and roots in exquisite detail, allowing scholars across regions to identify species with accuracy. The camera drifts over hand-colored plates, soft sunlight illuminating intricate petals and veins, emphasizing that observation and artistry were intertwined. These illustrations become invaluable for communication, preserving knowledge and enabling systematic experimentation far beyond local communities. In Asia, traditional Chinese medicine continues to be refined, integrating centuries of observation with methodical classification. Texts detail properties of herbs, dosage methods, and seasonal considerations. The rhythm of research mirrors natural cycles. Preparation and administration are attuned to climate, energy, and patient constitution. Across continents, parallel practices show a remarkable convergence. Human curiosity leads to systematic documentation, careful observation, and the first deliberate experiments in natural medicine. The calm beauty of this chapter lies in the measured pace of discovery. Knowledge is no longer entirely anecdotal but begins to align with emerging principles of cause and effect. The gentle fusion of intuition and observation, tradition and methodical study, transforms the practice of healing. Viewers are invited to notice the continuity, centuries of patient listening, watching, and documenting, now evolving into a form of science still deeply respectful of nature. As twilight spreads over gardens, libraries, and forested hills, dew glistening on leaves, the camera pans upward to the soft glow of early evening. The quiet rhythm of centuries of learning settles into view. Plants, humans, and knowledge all intertwined. The curiosity grows naturally. If careful observation and documentation mark this stage, what happens when chemistry, isolation of compounds, and laboratory experimentation begin to decode the precise mechanisms of plant-based medicine? In the next chapter, we will drift into the molecular age, where science begins to speak the language of plants directly, revealing their inner secrets with gentle clarity. As dawn breaks over a quiet laboratory nestled at the edge of a botanical garden, the camera glides past dew-kissed herbs and glass jars of dried roots, slowly entering a world where centuries of observation meet modern analysis. Here, the story of natural medicine begins to unfold at the molecular level. Compounds long used for healing are no longer mysterious. They reveal themselves through careful study, each molecule a tiny messenger, whispering secrets of the forest, meadow, and field into the attentive minds of scientists. Imagine a slow cinematic shot over a steaming infusion of chamomile, its pale yellow flowers floating gently in water. Researchers isolate flavonoids from the mixture, revealing the compounds responsible for its calming effects. Each measurement, each careful extraction, transforms centuries of anecdotal knowledge into quantifiable understanding. The process is deliberate, gentle, and almost meditative. It is as if the molecules themselves are revealing their stories, patiently waiting to be understood. In a distant laboratory, willow bark is ground and analyzed. Salicin, the active compound, is identified as a natural precursor to aspirin. A cinematic close-up captures powdered bark swirling in a glass beaker, soft light illuminating tiny fragments. The connection between ancient practice and modern science becomes tangible. A remedy used for thousands of years now speaks in the precise language of chemistry. Human hands and human curiosity act as translators, bridging the gap between plant and practitioner. Across continents, researchers study essential oils from lavender, peppermint, and eucalyptus. Each volatile compound interacts uniquely with human physiology. Linalool in lavender gently reduces stress by modulating neurotransmitter activity, while menthol in peppermint stimulates cold receptors, providing refreshing relief. The camera drifts over slow-motion vapors rising from simmering leaves, highlighting the subtle elegance of these molecular interactions. Healing is revealed to be both chemical and sensory, a quiet dialogue between plant and body. Medicinal compounds are not limited to soothing nerves or easing pain. Alkaloids from plants such as cinchona and periwinkle demonstrate potent therapeutic potential. Quinine extracted from cinchona bark combats malaria, while vincristine and vinblastine from the rosy periwinkle become critical chemotherapy agents. A cinematic pan captures soft light reflecting off crystalline powders in delicate glass vessels, emphasizing the reverent care with which scientists handle these gifts from nature. Each discovery reinforces a timeless truth. The forest, the meadow, and the garden are vast laboratories, and humans are careful listeners. Meanwhile, essential principles of dosage, preparation, and timing, honed over millennia, are confirmed by laboratory analysis. Heat, water, solvents, all influence the release and potency of compounds. Gentle experimentation uncovers optimal extraction methods, yet always in harmony with the plant's natural rhythms. Imagine slow-motion visuals of roots being sliced, leaves infused, and steam rising, each step a blend of science and artistry. The act of preparation becomes a bridge between tradition and modern understanding. Even as molecular science reveals exact structures, the subtle wisdom of traditional medicine remains relevant. The holistic context, patient constitution, environment, and timing continues to shape therapeutic outcomes. Cinematic visuals drift over lush gardens and serene forests, underscoring that while molecules can be isolated and measured, the broader context of healing retains its importance. Nature is not reduced to chemistry alone. It is a living, relational system of which humans are a part. In the quiet of the laboratory, light glances off glassware, highlighting the slow transformation of herbs into measurable compounds. Steam rises, soft hums fill the air, and the rhythm of discovery is unhurried. Each molecule identified carries centuries of observation, patience, and relational wisdom, now illuminated in the clarity of modern science. It is a gentle reminder that healing is not abrupt or forceful. It is gradual, attentive, and deeply connected to the natural world. As evening falls outside, the camera pans to trees swaying softly in the twilight breeze. The laboratory sits quietly amidst nature, a bridge between the ancient forest and contemporary science. Molecules whisper their secrets, humans listen patiently, and healing unfolds in a rhythm both slow and precise. Curiosity deepens naturally. If we have unlocked the chemistry of plants, how do these compounds interact at the deepest level within our bodies? How do they influence immunity, metabolism, and cellular function? In the next chapter, we will drift gently into the intimate world of physiology, exploring how natural compounds communicate with cells, tissues, and organs, revealing the quiet sophistication of plant-based healing from a biological perspective. As the first pale light of dawn stretches across a quiet meadow, the camera dives inward, beyond leaves and flowers, past the forest floor, until it enters the hidden universe of the human body itself. Here, healing is no longer only a matter of observation or tradition. It is molecular dialogue. Every compound derived from plants communicates with cells, subtly guiding processes, modulating pathways, and influencing the delicate balance that sustains life. Imagine a slow cinematic zoom into a bloodstream. Tiny molecules from chamomile tea drift along capillaries, binding to receptors in neurons that control stress and sleep. Linalool, gently absorbed, encourages the nervous system to relax. Menthol from peppermint circulates, lightly stimulating cold receptors, producing sensations of freshness and alertness. These interactions are quiet yet precise. Nature's molecules are skilled messengers, capable of influencing complex systems without haste or force. In another scene, the camera moves along delicate tissues where inflammation occurs. Salicin from willow bark is metabolized into salicylic acid, quietly interacting with enzymes that drive the inflammatory process. The effect is subtle but profound. Pain eases, swelling diminishes, and the body's natural rhythm is gently restored. This molecular conversation mirrors the slow, attentive pace of traditional herbal medicine, patient, responsive, and relational rather than abrupt or aggressive. Beyond pain relief, antioxidants from berries and colorful plants neutralize free radicals, protecting cells from damage. Imagine a cinematic visualization of molecules drifting like soft starlight through a body's tissues, each interaction gentle, calming, restorative. The chemistry of plants aligns naturally with human physiology because both evolved over eons on the same planet, adapting and responding to environmental pressures in parallel. The camera then glides through the digestive system, tracing the path of bitter greens and roots. These compounds stimulate enzymes, bile flow, and gut motility, enhancing digestion and nutrient absorption. Polysaccharides from aloe vera support cellular repair in the digestive tract, while phytochemicals in turmeric influence inflammation and immunity. The subtle choreography within the body mirrors the meticulous preparation of these herbs. Time, temperature, and combination matter, just as they did in centuries of traditional practice. Next, the lens moves to neural networks. Aromatic compounds from essential oils, inhaled slowly, interact with olfactory pathways leading to the limbic system, influencing mood, memory, and emotional regulation. Lavender calms anxious thoughts. Rosemary subtly enhances focus. Sandalwood encourages meditative stillness. These effects are gentle yet noticeable, a testament to the quiet intelligence embedded in plant chemistry and to the receptivity of the human body to these ancient gifts. Even at the cellular level, synergy is evident. Combinations of compounds often work together more effectively than isolated molecules, reflecting the wisdom of traditional herbal blends. Plants evolved mixtures of molecules for survival, And humans benefit from these combinations in ways that modern science is only beginning to quantify. A cinematic sequence shows molecules entwining, binding, and interacting with cells in slow motion, emphasizing the elegance and subtlety of these processes. The story of cellular conversation also reveals an inherent rhythm. Absorption, metabolism, and elimination unfold gradually, in time with the body's natural cycles. Healing is never rushed. Pain relief, stress reduction, and immune support all emerge as part of a patient-attuned dialogue between compound and cell. The forest, the meadow, and the garden continue their work invisibly within the human body, a quiet continuity spanning space, time, and species. As night falls over a forest canopy, the camera rises above the treetops to the soft glow of moonlight. The body, now immersed in rest, continues its silent interaction with plant compounds. Cells repair, systems recalibrate, and the wisdom of both nature and human observation unfolds gently, without interruption. Every breath, every sip, every touch maintains this connection, a rhythm of care and patience. Curiosity naturally arises. If plants can guide cells so subtly and effectively, how did humans learn to refine their use into precise therapies? How did observation, experience, and experimentation converge into the sophisticated practices that inform modern herbal and integrative medicine? In the next chapter, we will drift gently into the ways humans harmonized plant compounds into balanced formulations, revealing the artistry and subtle science of preparation, dosage, and combination. As the first light of dawn brushes over quiet herb gardens, dew glistening on delicate leaves, the camera drifts slowly across rows of carefully tended plants. Here, the story of natural medicine enters a new chapter, the art of formulation. It is no longer only about individual compounds or isolated plants. Healing emerges from combinations, blends crafted with patience, observation, and an understanding of how molecules interact within the human body. This gentle orchestration, perfected over centuries, is both science and art, a subtle choreography between plant chemistry and human intuition. Imagine a cinematic close-up of a healer's hands, delicately weighing roots, petals, and leaves, their fingers brushing across textures, inhaling soft fragrances. Each element is chosen not only for its individual effect but for how it interacts with the others. Chamomile might soothe, peppermint invigorate, and ginger gently warm the system. Together, they create a harmonized experience for body and mind. The visual unfolds slowly, powders mingling, teas steeping, steam curling upward in golden sunlight, a meditative dance of preparation. Across Asia, traditional Chinese medicine illustrates the elegance of this art. Herbs are combined according to their energetic properties, warming or cooling, calming or stimulating, yin or yang. The practitioner selects ingredients not only for their chemical composition but for their subtle influence on the body's energy, tailoring formulations to the patient's constitution. Cinematic visuals drift over herb gardens and study rooms filled with scrolls and manuscripts, emphasizing patience, care, and intention in every step. In Ayurveda, the Indian system of medicine, formulations are equally nuanced. Herbs, roots, spices, and minerals are blended to balance elemental forces within the body. Preparation may involve roasting, grinding, boiling, or infusing, each method chosen to preserve potency and enhance harmony. Imagine slow-motion visuals of golden turmeric being ground into powder, fresh ginger being sliced carefully, and fragrant oils distilled gently, each step reinforcing mindfulness, precision, and respect for nature's gifts. Even in medieval Europe, apothecaries refined their own blends. Chamomile, valerian, sage, and lavender were combined in teas and tinctures for sleep, digestion, or stress relief. Each combination reflected generations of observation, trial, and refinement. The camera drifts over rows of labeled jars, soft morning light illuminating powders and leaves, emphasizing the care and rhythm of preparation. Every action, from grinding to infusion, becomes a gentle ritual, connecting humans with nature and the knowledge passed down through centuries. The power of formulation lies in synergy. Individual compounds are important, but combinations can enhance effectiveness, reduce side effects, and create more nuanced outcomes. This principle, first discovered through careful observation and later confirmed by modern science, underscores the sophistication of traditional herbal practices. Molecules work together like a symphony, each note contributing to the overall harmony, supporting the body in subtle, restorative ways. In quiet laboratories and gardens alike, practitioners continue to respect timing, dosage, and method. Leaves are harvested at optimal moments, roots dried slowly to preserve compounds, and infusions brewed with gentle heat. Cinematic visuals capture soft steam rising from a simmering pot, droplets forming on leaves, and the meticulous attention in every movement. Healing is slow, intentional, and relational, a continuation of the forest's rhythm reflected in human practice. Even today, these principles inform modern herbal medicine. Teas, tinctures, capsules, and essential oil blends all draw on centuries of careful observation, refinement, and preparation. The act of blending is itself calming, a meditation in motion, inviting both practitioner and patient to slow down, observe, and engage fully with the natural world. As twilight descends over a serene herb garden, the camera rises above the treetops, capturing the soft glow of the setting sun. The steam of infused herbs mingles with the cool evening air, symbolizing the enduring connection between humans and plants. Formulation is more than method. It is a conversation, a gentle orchestration of nature's molecules to support health, balance, and restoration. Curiosity deepens. If plants and humans communicate at both chemical and energetic levels, how have these practices been refined into measurable, reproducible treatments in modern medicine? In the next chapter, we will drift gently into the convergence of traditional wisdom and scientific research, exploring how centuries of observation, experimentation, and formulation laid the groundwork for contemporary natural therapies. As the first light of morning spills over a quiet botanical research garden, dew sparkling softly on leaves, the camera glides gently across rows of herbs and flowering plants. Here, the story of natural medicine enters a new era, where tradition meets modern science. Centuries of observation, storytelling, and careful formulation now converge with systematic research, analytical techniques, and laboratory validation. The gentle curiosity that guided ancient healers continues, but it is now paired with precision, reproducibility, and a slow, patient quest for understanding. Imagine a cinematic shot of researchers in a softly lit lab, their hands delicately handling fresh leaves, roots, and flowers. Each sample is weighed, measured, and prepared with care, maintaining the integrity of the plant's natural compounds. Chromatography, spectroscopy, and gentle extraction methods reveal the molecules responsible for healing, providing insights that were once only intuited through observation. The process is unhurried, meditative, and deeply respectful, a continuation of the patient attention that shaped herbal medicine for millennia. Across the globe, scientists study compounds that ancient healers relied upon for sleep, stress relief, digestion, and immunity. Chamomile tea is analyzed for apigenin, a compound that binds to calming receptors in the brain. Lavender essential oil is examined for linalool and linaloyl acetate, molecules that gently modulate the nervous system. Willow bark's salicin confirms centuries of empirical use for pain relief. Cinematic visuals show slow-motion drops of herbal extract mixing in clear glass beakers, rising steam reflecting soft light, emphasizing the harmony of tradition and analysis. Clinical studies begin to quantify dosage, timing, and safety, providing a bridge between ancient wisdom and contemporary healthcare. Researchers track how plant compounds interact with cells, tissues, and organs, confirming many of the therapeutic effects observed over generations. Yet the essence of tradition remains. Nature's remedies are subtle, gradual, and relational. Healing is not abrupt. It unfolds with patience, attentiveness, and respect for both plant and patient. In parallel, ethnobotanists travel to remote forests, deserts, and mountains, documenting the practices of indigenous and rural communities. Their work preserves oral knowledge, identifies promising medicinal plants, and validates centuries of experience. The camera drifts over misty forests and sunlit valleys, showing local healers gathering herbs with care, the rhythm of hands, eyes, and senses attuned to subtle cues. Scientific research and lived tradition begin to converse, creating a rich tapestry of understanding that spans generations and continents. Modern laboratories also study synergy, the way multiple plant compounds interact to produce enhanced effects. Ancient formulations, long crafted by observation and intuition, are validated in controlled experiments. Teas, tinctures, and oils are analyzed for chemical profiles, revealing the subtle interplay of flavonoids, alkaloids, terpenes, and phenols. Cinematic slow-motion visuals depict swirling infusions, delicate powders mixing, and steam rising in golden light, a visual echo of centuries of careful blending. Even pharmacology and modern medicine draw inspiration from herbal knowledge. Molecules isolated from plants often become prototypes for contemporary drugs, bridging the gap between ancient remedies and evidence-based medicine. Yet, in every discovery, the patient, attentive observation, and respect for natural rhythms remain central. Laboratory science may quantify compounds, but the underlying wisdom, the recognition of subtle balance, timing, and synergy, originates in the gardens, forests, and homes of traditional healers. As evening descends over glass-roofed greenhouses and soft candle-lit labs, the camera rises above treetops, capturing gardens, forests, and mountains bathed in gentle twilight. Nature and human knowledge continue to interact, quietly and patiently, in a rhythm that is soothing and meditative. The modern study of herbal medicine is not a replacement for tradition, it is a continuation, a dialogue spanning centuries, cultures, and continents. Curiosity deepens naturally. If traditional remedies can be measured, analyzed, and validated scientifically, how can we ensure that their wisdom is preserved while advancing modern medicine? In the next chapter, we will drift gently into ethical cultivation, conservation, and sustainability, exploring how humanity safeguards the plants, knowledge, and practices that continue to nurture health and well-being across the world. As the soft light of morning stretches across quiet hills and sun-dappled forests, the camera glides slowly over rows of medicinal plants, their leaves glistening with dew. Here begins a chapter of preservation, care, and respect. Natural medicine depends not only on knowledge but on the living plants themselves. Centuries of observation and experimentation have shown humanity the healing power of herbs, yet this wisdom can only continue if the plants and their habitats are protected. Cultivation and conservation emerge as gentle, essential practices, quiet acts of stewardship that honor the rhythms of life and the delicate balance of ecosystems. Imagine a cinematic scene of a gardener walking slowly through terraces of chamomile, lavender, and valerian, hands brushing lightly over fragrant leaves. Each plant is nurtured according to its natural needs: soil, sunlight, water, and timing. Seeds are sown with care, ensuring continuity and resilience. Every detail matters: the exact moment of harvest, the condition of the soil, the spacing between plants, all contribute to the potency and efficacy of the medicine they will provide. The act of cultivation becomes meditative, a dialogue between human and nature, an exchange of patience and attention. Across the globe, indigenous and local communities continue traditional cultivation practices, growing herbs in harmony with surrounding ecosystems. Terrace gardens, shaded groves, and carefully irrigated fields all reflect centuries of observation. Cinematic visuals drift over sunlit terraces, gentle streams, and quiet forests, emphasizing the intimacy of care, respect, and rhythm in every human action. Conservation is not only about the individual plant but also the soil, water, pollinators, and wildlife that sustain it. Modern cultivation practices complement traditional methods. Researchers and gardeners cultivate medicinal plants in greenhouses and laboratories, ensuring genetic diversity and stable chemical profiles. Slow-motion visuals show seeds sprouting in carefully monitored environments, soft light illuminating delicate shoots, emphasizing continuity and attentiveness. This practice ensures that the wisdom of herbal medicine is not lost to overharvesting, environmental degradation, or climate change. Conservation also involves protecting wild populations. Many medicinal plants are rare, endemic, or threatened, their habitats fragile. Botanical gardens, seed banks, and protected reserves provide safe havens, preserving biodiversity for future generations. Cinematic visuals drift over misty mountain valleys and remote forests, capturing the quiet majesty of ecosystems that have nurtured healing compounds for millennia. Humanity's role is not to dominate but to steward, to listen, observe, and ensure continuity. Even preparation and storage are part of preservation. Leaves, roots, and flowers are dried or frozen with care, harvested sustainably, and processed to maintain potency without damaging ecosystems. The camera lingers on slow-motion shots of delicate leaves being gently dried, roots arranged meticulously, and flowers infused in soft sunlight, emphasizing the interconnectedness of cultivation, conservation, and medicine. Every step is deliberate, patient, and reverent. The beauty of this chapter lies in continuity. Healing is not merely a practice, it is a responsibility. Humans are both beneficiaries and custodians of nature's pharmacy. Gardens, forests, and wild habitats are classrooms, laboratories, and sanctuaries, each requiring attention, respect, and gentle guidance. Cinematic visuals of soft twilight over herb gardens, forests, and flowing rivers reinforce the serenity and care inherent in this work. As night falls, dew settles on leaves, moonlight filters softly through forest canopies, and the gentle hum of life continues. Humanity's awareness of cultivation and conservation ensures that plants, knowledge, and healing practices endure. Healing is not abrupt or forceful. It is a quiet, relational process, nurtured through patient care, observation, and reverence for the natural world. Curiosity naturally arises. If the sustainability of medicinal plants is preserved, how can humans continue to innovate and refine natural therapies responsibly? In the next chapter, we will drift gently into the future of natural medicine, exploring innovations, integrative approaches, and the ongoing dialogue between traditional wisdom and contemporary science. As dawn breaks over a tranquil botanical research center, soft sunlight filtering through glass greenhouses, the camera glides slowly over rows of herbs, flowers, and roots, glistening with morning dew. Here, the story of natural medicine stretches forward, merging ancient wisdom with modern innovation. Centuries of observation, careful cultivation, and thoughtful formulation now meet contemporary research, integrative therapies, and subtle technological advances, creating new pathways for healing while honoring the gentle rhythms of tradition. Imagine a cinematic shot of researchers and herbalists working side by side. Fresh leaves are analyzed with modern instruments, slow-motion droplets falling into clear vials, soft steam rising from infusions. At the same time, practitioners steep traditional teas, grind roots, and blend oils, preserving time-honored methods. Here, the past and future meet, not as opposing forces but in dialogue, each informing and enhancing the other. The camera lingers on hands carefully arranging herbs, reflecting patience, mindfulness, and reverence. Across continents, scientists explore natural compounds for sleep, stress relief, immunity, and cellular health. Ancient formulations inspire new studies. Combinations of chamomile, valerian, and lavender are tested for synergistic effects on nervous system pathways. Curcumin from turmeric is examined for anti-inflammatory and neuroprotective properties. The camera drifts over soft, slow-motion visuals of leaves, powders, and liquids mingling, emphasizing that innovation respects the integrity of the plant and the subtlety of its healing potential. Digital tools enhance understanding without diminishing nature's wisdom. Chemical profiling, molecular mapping, and integrative databases allow researchers to track compounds, dosage, and outcomes across populations and climates. Yet these tools are applied gently, as aids to observation rather than replacements for experience. Cinematic visuals capture soft reflections on glass, slow-motion droplets mixing, and the ambient glow of a quiet lab, emphasizing the harmony of technology with tradition. Herbal medicine is also entering integrative healthcare. Practitioners combine natural remedies with lifestyle guidance, mindfulness practices, and conventional treatments, creating holistic approaches that support mind, body, and spirit. Patients sip teas infused with carefully prepared herbs while practicing breathing exercises or gentle yoga. The camera drifts through a softly lit room, sunlight catching fragrant steam, emphasizing calm, balance, and continuity of care. Even formulation sees innovation. Encapsulation, slow-release teas, and standardized tinctures enhance potency and reliability while preserving the subtle synergy of compounds observed for centuries. Slow-motion visuals capture powders flowing into capsules, oils blending with precise care, and liquids infused gently, each step underscoring patience, reverence, and meticulous attention. Science amplifies tradition rather than replacing it. Global collaboration enriches knowledge. Ethnobotanists, herbalists, pharmacologists, and integrative practitioners share insights, bridging ecosystems, cultures, and centuries. The camera drifts over misty tropical forests, sunlit alpine meadows, and serene temperate gardens, emphasizing the quiet rhythm of interconnectedness. Nature, humans, and science co-create a continuum of healing knowledge. The beauty of innovation in natural medicine lies in subtlety. Progress is not loud or abrupt. It is careful, measured, and attentive. Healing remains relational, slow, and patient, guided by both molecules and mindfulness. Cinematic visuals drift over flowing streams, gently swaying plants, and soft sunlight, reinforcing the soothing, meditative tone of discovery. As twilight descends over the research gardens and surrounding forests, the camera rises to the soft glow of evening. The fusion of past and future continues gently, ancient wisdom preserved, modern science applied responsibly, and the quiet art of healing unfolding in every leaf, root, and flower. Curiosity arises naturally. If innovation builds upon centuries of knowledge, how do natural remedies continue to shape wellness in daily life? In the next chapter, we will drift slowly into practical applications, exploring the gentle integration of herbs, teas, oils, and practices that support health, calm, and restorative balance in the modern world. As the first light of dawn spreads softly across a quiet kitchen garden, the camera glides gently over dew-kissed leaves of chamomile, lavender, and mint. Here, the story of natural medicine becomes personal and practical. Healing is not only found in laboratories or distant forests, it can be woven into the quiet rhythm of daily life. The gentle presence of herbs, teas, oils, and rituals transforms ordinary routines into restorative moments, a subtle conversation between nature and human well-being. Imagine a cinematic scene of a slow morning routine, hands plucking fresh chamomile flowers, petals falling softly into a steaming teapot. Water poured gently over the herbs releases a fragrant cloud of vapor, curling in the sunlight. Each sip is a moment of calm, the nervous system responding to flavonoids and volatile oils. Stress eases, breathing deepens, and a gentle sense of balance flows through the body. The camera lingers on soft steam rising, emphasizing the meditative, restorative quality of such rituals. Across the day, herbs guide subtle wellness practices. Peppermint leaves infused in water awaken the senses, aiding focus and digestion. Lavender sachets placed near pillows create a calming environment for sleep. Ginger and turmeric are added to meals, supporting digestion, immunity, and gentle anti-inflammatory effects. Slow-motion visuals capture each movement, hands slicing, stirring, and infusing, reflecting patience and mindfulness in every act. Herbal oils and tinctures extend these practices. A few drops of eucalyptus essential oil in a diffuser clear the air and ease respiratory discomfort. Rosehip oil massage gently into skin supports cellular repair, while the subtle aroma of sandalwood encourages reflective stillness. Cinematic visuals drift over soft vapor and gentle hands, highlighting the relational and sensory nature of natural medicine in everyday moments. Even small routines become opportunities for mindfulness. A tea ceremony, a morning herbal infusion, or a brief inhalation of aromatic oils invites attention, awareness, and presence. The body responds quietly, heart rate slows, muscles relax, and the mind settles. Healing is not abrupt or forceful. It unfolds in rhythm with daily life, soft and continuous. Children, adults, and elders alike participate in these gentle rituals. Grandparents pass down the knowledge of herbal teas and preparations, connecting generations in quiet continuity. The camera drifts through sunlit kitchens, gardens, and patios, capturing soft laughter, attentive hands, and careful gestures, emphasizing the relational and meditative quality of shared practice. Preparation remains a mindful act. Leaves are washed, petals measured, roots infused with gentle heat. Even the simplest tasks, pouring, stirring, inhaling, become ceremonies of connection. Slow-motion visuals linger on droplets of water falling into teacups, leaves releasing fragrant oils, and steam rising softly, reflecting the subtle elegance of everyday healing. Herbs also support moments of reflection and rest. A quiet evening tea calms the nervous system, a morning infusion awakens the senses. Nature's molecules, carefully prepared and attentively used, interact with the body in ways both immediate and cumulative, nurturing long-term balance. The rhythm of daily rituals mirrors the slow, deliberate unfolding of plant life itself. As twilight falls over garden terraces and sunlit kitchens, the camera rises slowly to capture rooftops, trees, and distant hills bathed in gentle evening glow. Daily rituals, grounded in centuries of knowledge and the quiet chemistry of plants, continue their soft work, supporting sleep, reducing stress, and promoting calm throughout the human body. Curiosity naturally deepens. If daily practices can harness the subtle power of plants, how do these gentle rituals influence overall health and resilience over time? In the next chapter, we will drift into the rhythms of sleep, rest, and relaxation, exploring how natural remedies harmonize with the body's cycles to support restorative wellness. As the soft light of dusk filters through a quiet forest, dew glistening on leaves, the camera glides slowly over tranquil gardens and shaded meadows. Here, the story of natural medicine enters one of its most intimate dimensions: sleep. Rest is essential to healing, rejuvenation, and balance. Herbs, teas, and aromatic oils work quietly with the body, guiding circadian rhythms, soothing the nervous system, and creating a gentle environment for restorative rest. Imagine a cinematic scene. A steaming cup of chamomile tea rests on a wooden table, wisps of vapor curling slowly in the evening light. Linalool and apigenin gently interact with receptors in the brain, lowering stress and preparing the body for sleep. Lavender sachets near pillows release soft, calming aromas, stimulating the limbic system and promoting relaxation. The camera lingers on these slow, deliberate motions, pouring, inhaling, adjusting, emphasizing the meditative and comforting qualities of nature's remedies. Peppermint, while invigorating during the day, can also assist digestion before rest. Ginger and lemon teas soothe the stomach, reducing discomfort that might otherwise interrupt sleep. Herbal baths infused with rosemary or chamomile create sensory experiences that prepare both body and mind for quiet. Cinematic visuals drift over gentle steam rising from a bath, soft reflections on water, and leaves floating gracefully, evoking serenity and calm. Beyond chemical effects, rituals themselves promote relaxation. Preparing a tea, steeping herbs, or diffusing essential oils are acts of mindfulness, creating intentional pauses that signal the body to transition from wakefulness to rest. Each step slows the rhythm, quiets mental chatter, and encourages presence. The camera captures these sequences in soft, fluid motion, reinforcing the meditative quality of the experience. In the bedroom, moonlight filters through curtains onto soft linens scented faintly with lavender or chamomile. The camera glides slowly across the room, capturing shadows of leaves and petals, emphasizing the harmony between environment, body, and nature. Even subtle sensory inputs, fragrance, warmth, texture, become part of the healing process, supporting the body's natural cycles. Nighttime also reveals the cumulative effect of daily herbal practices. Teas sipped, tinctures administered, and oils diffused throughout the day quietly modulate physiology. Stress diminishes, digestion stabilizes, and the nervous system enters a state conducive to deep, restorative sleep. Cinematic visuals linger on soft breathing, the gentle rise and fall of the chest, and moonlight glinting off dewy leaves outside the window, reinforcing the intimate connection between human and nature. Across cultures, the use of natural remedies for sleep is universal. From chamomile in Europe, lavender in the Mediterranean, valerian in Asia, to native herbs in the Americas, humans have long sought the gentle support of plants for rest. The camera drifts over forests, gardens, and meadows across continents, highlighting the quiet universality of these practices and the soft, patient wisdom embedded in human interaction with plants. The beauty of this chapter is its quiet, meditative rhythm. Healing is not abrupt. It is relational, slow, and gentle. Sleep becomes a bridge between the body and the restorative power of nature's molecules, a nightly dialogue that nurtures mind, body, and spirit. Each inhalation, sip, and touch reinforces the continuity of care and attention across generations. As night deepens, the camera rises above treetops and moonlit gardens, soft shadows stretching across the earth. Nature's gentle influence guides the body toward rest, balancing chemistry, sensation, and ritual. Curiosity arises naturally. If sleep can be supported so subtly by plants, what other daily bodily rhythms, digestion, immunity, mood, or energy, can be harmonized through this attentive, patient engagement with nature? In the next chapter, we will drift gently into the holistic benefits of natural medicine, exploring how its influence extends beyond rest to overall wellness, calm, and resilience. As dawn spreads gently across a quiet hillside, the camera glides over dew-covered leaves and soft sunlit meadows, revealing the world where natural medicine quietly nurtures holistic wellness. Healing is not only about relieving symptoms, it is about supporting the body, mind, and spirit in a balanced, gentle way. Plants, herbs, and natural compounds interact subtly with physiological systems, while rituals and mindful use cultivate calm, resilience, and overall well-being. Imagine a cinematic scene, a slow pan over a morning garden, soft sunlight illuminating chamomile, lavender, and mint. A gentle hand plucks a few fresh leaves for tea, the aroma rising in delicate wisps. Each sip nourishes not just the body, but the mind and senses, easing stress, calming thoughts, and gently guiding mood. The camera lingers on the soft steam curling upwards, emphasizing the sensory, restorative qualities of these natural remedies. Herbal infusions support digestion, immunity, and circulation. Ginger and turmeric teas soothe the digestive tract and gently reduce inflammation. Elderberry syrups and echinacea tinctures support immune function, while peppermint and fennel calm bloating and discomfort. Cinematic visuals drift over steaming cups, swirling liquids, and vibrant herbs, highlighting the careful, mindful integration of nature's gifts into daily life. Aromatherapy extends this subtle support. Lavender, rosemary, eucalyptus, and sandalwood influence the nervous system and emotional state. Diffusing essential oils, massaging herbal-infused oils into skin, or inhaling fragrant steam helps regulate mood, reduce tension, and encourage mindfulness. The camera captures gentle vapors rising in soft sunlight, hands moving slowly, emphasizing the quiet relational nature of wellness practices. Movement, rest, and ritual combine with herbal support to create holistic balance. Morning teas, mindful breathing, gentle stretches, and herbal baths foster a sense of rhythm and harmony in daily life. The camera drifts over soft mats, sunlit windows, and leaves swaying outside, reinforcing the interplay between environment, ritual, and nature's chemistry. Healing is relational, connecting mind, body, and environment in a slow, attentive dialogue. Even small, consistent habits accumulate subtle benefits over time. Daily teas, tinctures, aromatic inhalations, and mindful preparation gradually reduce stress, enhance focus, improve digestion, and support restorative sleep. The camera lingers on hands measuring herbs, stirring infusions, and inhaling aromas, emphasizing the quiet, cumulative power of patient, gentle engagement with natural remedies. Across cultures and centuries, holistic approaches emphasize the balance of internal and external care. Traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, and indigenous practices all recognize the interconnection between body, mind, and environment. Cinematic visuals drift over serene gardens, forests, and fields, illustrating that wellness emerges from integration, attentiveness, and the patient guidance of nature. The beauty of holistic wellness lies in subtlety. Healing is not abrupt or dramatic. It unfolds quietly, relationally, and in rhythm with natural processes. Plants, humans, and practices exist in a gentle dialogue that nurtures resilience, calm, and balance. Each sip, touch, and breath continues a timeless conversation, reinforcing both physiological and emotional harmony. As evening descends over misty forests and garden terraces, the camera rises slowly to capture moonlight glinting on leaves and dew. Nature's quiet support persists through night and day, cultivating balance, calm, and well-being. Curiosity deepens naturally. If natural medicine can harmonize body and mind gently, how might it also influence energy, focus, and daily vitality? In the next chapter, we will drift into the subtle ways herbs and natural practices enhance alertness, clarity, and sustained energy, weaving calm with mindful engagement in everyday life. As the first soft rays of sunlight spill across a quiet garden, the camera glides gently over dew-kissed leaves and gently swaying herbs, illuminating the subtle power of nature to support vitality and focus. Natural medicine is not only about relaxation, digestion, or sleep. It can also nurture alertness, clarity, and sustained energy throughout the day. Plants, teas, and aromatic compounds work gently with human physiology, providing quiet support without overstimulation, creating balance between calm and vitality. Imagine a cinematic scene of a steaming cup of green tea, sunlight catching soft plumes of vapor as it rises from the cup. Catechins, amino acids like L-theanine, and subtle plant compounds interact with the nervous system to enhance alertness while maintaining calm focus. The camera lingers on slow motion of fingers wrapping around the warm cup, emphasizing presence, mindfulness, and the gentle unfolding of energy. Herbs like rosemary, ginseng, and peppermint stimulate circulation and cognition subtly. A few drops of rosemary essential oil inhaled in the morning invigorate memory and concentration. Ginseng root, steeped carefully, supports endurance and reduces mental fatigue. Peppermint's refreshing compounds awaken the senses without the crash of stimulants. Cinematic visuals drift over soft sunlight reflecting on leaves, tea infusions swirling slowly, and aromatic steam rising in calm, meditative motion. Even the preparation process contributes to mindful energy. Grinding roots, measuring leaves, and pouring hot water over herbs require gentle attention, creating pauses that awaken awareness and engage the senses. The camera captures soft, deliberate movements, emphasizing that energy is nurtured as much by mindful action as by the plant compounds themselves. In daily life, these practices harmonize with natural rhythms. Morning herbal teas or aromatic inhalations gently cue the body to awaken, improving focus and alertness without overstimulation. Midday herbal infusions refresh digestion and cognition, supporting energy without disrupting calm. Slow-motion visuals of soft sunlight filtering through kitchens, gardens, and workspaces convey serenity and balance, showing that vitality can coexist with mindfulness and relaxation. The subtle synergy of compounds amplifies effects. Combinations like peppermint and rosemary enhance sensory alertness while maintaining a calming balance, reflecting centuries of observation and modern confirmation. Even small doses, carefully timed, influence mood, energy, and focus, integrating seamlessly with natural daily patterns. Across cultures, the use of natural stimulants and invigorating herbs has long supported daily vitality. From Asian ginseng, South American yerba mate, to European rosemary and mint, humans have discovered ways to harmonize alertness with relaxation, drawing energy from nature rather than forcefully stimulating it. Cinematic visuals drift over global landscapes, mountain streams, sunlit forests, and cultivated gardens, emphasizing the universality of this subtle, balanced approach. The beauty of this chapter lies in gentle, sustained energy. Healing and vitality are not abrupt or aggressive. They unfold slowly, relationally, and attentively. Nature provides molecules that guide focus, awaken senses, and support endurance, all while maintaining calm. Each sip, touch, and breath continues the quiet dialogue between plant and human. As sunlight warms the earth and gardens glisten with dew, the camera rises to reveal forests, terraces, and meadows in soft morning light. Natural medicine nurtures energy, alertness, and balance, supporting daily life in a gentle, attentive rhythm. Curiosity arises naturally. If plants can subtly awaken focus and vitality, how might these gifts also influence long-term wellness, resilience, and harmony with body and environment? In the final chapter, we will drift gently into reflection, integration, and the timeless journey of human engagement with nature's healing wisdom. As twilight descends over quiet forests and sun-drenched gardens, the camera glides slowly across dewy leaves, gently swaying herbs, and soft pools of light. Here, the story of natural medicine reaches a contemplative close, inviting reflection on centuries of wisdom, observation, and care. Healing is not merely an act, it is a relationship. Plants, humans, and practices exist in a gentle dialogue, flowing through time, cultures, and daily life, guiding balance, calm, and resilience. Imagine a cinematic scene, a slow pan over a wooden table holding chamomile, lavender, peppermint, and ginger. Each plant carries its history, its chemistry, and its subtle influence on the body and mind. A hand reaches out to crush leaves, releasing fragrant oils, while soft sunlight illuminates the scene. Every gesture is deliberate, mindful, and meditative, a quiet celebration of the continuity of knowledge and the patience of human observation. Reflection reveals the deep integration of natural medicine into daily life. Morning teas awaken calm energy, midday infusions support digestion and focus, and evening rituals of chamomile or lavender promote restorative sleep. Aromatic oils, tinctures, and simple rituals reinforce mindfulness, connecting body, mind, and environment. Cinematic visuals linger on slow-motion steam, hands brushing over leaves, and gentle inhalations, emphasizing the relational, sensory, and restorative nature of these practices. Traditional knowledge, cultivated and preserved for centuries, continues to guide modern science. Laboratory studies confirm what observation, ritual, and patient practice have long revealed, that plants communicate with cells, tissues, and systems in subtle, restorative ways. Synergy, preparation, timing, and formulation, principles refined over millennia, remain central to effective, gentle healing. The camera drifts over manuscripts, botanical gardens, and research labs, emphasizing the harmony between past and present. Conservation and cultivation are essential to integration. Gardens, wild habitats, and sustainable practices ensure that healing wisdom endures. Soft cinematic visuals of terraces, forests, and dew-lit meadows remind viewers of the delicate balance between humans and the natural world, highlighting the importance of care, patience, and stewardship. Healing is a relational process, extending from plant to practitioner, from individual to ecosystem. Holistic wellness emerges from this integration. Daily practices, mindful rituals, and gentle engagement with nature's compounds cultivate resilience, focus, calm, and vitality. Healing unfolds gradually, subtly, and harmoniously, an ongoing conversation rather than an abrupt intervention. The camera drifts over misty mornings, sunlit afternoons, and quiet twilight, capturing the full rhythm of human engagement with nature. The final beauty of this story is its continuity. Knowledge passes across generations, observation becomes study, ritual enhances physiology, and science validates tradition. Healing is both timeless and immediate. A cup of tea, an inhalation of essential oils, a careful blend of herbs, all continue the conversation between humans and nature. Cinematic visuals linger on hands, plants, and flowing water, reinforcing the sense of calm, patience, and connectedness. As night falls and moonlight glimmers across leaves and petals, the camera rises slowly above forests, gardens, and terraces, revealing a quiet, expansive view of the natural world. Here, healing is not a single act. It is a journey, an ongoing relationship that nurtures body, mind, and spirit. Natural medicine teaches patience, attentiveness, and care, guiding humans to move gently through life in rhythm with nature. Curiosity rests gently. The journey of engagement with herbs, rituals, and daily wellness is ongoing. Each sip, each touch, each breath carries forward the wisdom of centuries, inviting viewers to slow down, observe, and connect. In this quiet reflection, the full story of natural medicine, its history, science, artistry, and daily application, settles gently, leaving a sense of calm, wonder, and continuity that extends far beyond the final scene.